Big back, big back, big back, big back. Listen, my granddaughter is 2 years old, and I heard her do that, and they said, Nana, you have to hear this. And she caught it on, playground, outside time, someone was doing it. She caught on to it, caught the little tune, clearly has no idea what she's saying, but she's just like, big back, and there you go. Hey, Team Big Bag, thank you so much for stopping back by. I'm your host, Dee Shields, and I want to talk to you about walking and carving it off, right? So I always go and make sure that I do something for you, that I do the work for you before coming back to talk to you. So it took a couple of weeks to come back and talk to you about it because I needed to make sure that it works. And baby girl, when I tell you it works, it does it gets it done. And I want to tell you how I was able to go about and do it and really make sure that you focus on the key part, which is the movement that has to happen, because I don't have to tell you that you have to eat right on this journey, because we've said that so many times, trying to get on board and get on the train and jump off the train over the couple of years. So we already know of the past years that it's in the food. It has to happen in the food, and it has to happen in, of course, a lot of other things. But movement really hasn't been a real focus. Like, people will loosely tell you about you need to go to the gym and all these other things, but not really going out there and showing you or explaining to you or doing it themselves to find out what does it really do. So that's what I did for you. And baby, I'm telling you, you can walk and carb it off, and here's how. So for those of you who do not know, I'm on a journey since April to bring down my A1C. Pre-diabetes was where I was at with the A1C. I was at a 5.8 in April. It jumped drastically over the summer to a 6.5, which took me from pre-diabetic to type 2 diabetes. So I'm on a journey to reverse type 2 diabetes, as well as had a liver scan with mild fatty liver. Yeah, the majority of us have mild fatty liver, but with the family history of diabetes and liver and kidney and things like that getting out of hand, I want to make sure that I get ahead of this. So let's start the reverse journey. So that's the journey that I'm on. I created Team Big Bag, the Big Bag podcast, and making sure that I come to you on a constant to give you the tools that I'm learning and the things that I'm researching for us, and being the person that does the work so that I could tell you, hey, this does happen, it's great, or it may not happen, or it works, or could work for you, but it didn't work for me, kind of thing. I want you to get going and stay with us on this journey, a very small group. I want you to go and support and join if you are really intentional about getting that big back gone. If you're intentional, you can find Facebook groups, Exercise, Eat Right, and Focus. We have merch now, but I go through and I do a lot of research for you guys. I'm a critical thinker, so you have the upper hand, because I make sure that I go and find out whether or not this is the truth, and movements that work, and workouts that work, and foods that work, and foods that don't work, and foods that we need to get rid of. I do all that research for you with fact checking and evidence basing and quoting and citing my sources. So you could go over there, Exercise, Eat Right, and Focus on Facebook groups, send your requests, and I'll make sure that I get to it and get you in there so you can have a safe place to go on this journey as well. If you're not on the journey, please don't come in trying to sell products. I want you to make sure that you are on this healthy living journey and that you are intentional. Don't just get into a group to sell products, because, I don't like it. I don't care for it. And it just, so many people have gotten blocked because it's not a safe space for the people who are wanting real intentional work happening towards this journey to take the big back and the weight off, right? All right, so here's the deal. A carb deficit is powerful. So I want to start there, right? You're going to have to get with a dietitian. You're going to have to sit with your provider. Your provider will do the work. They're going to tell you everything that's needed for you. They're going to look at your blood labs. They're going to tell you where you are, what your health is at, where you stand, where your organs are doing or not doing, however far you have to go on that health journey to find out what's going on in and outside of your body to get what's right for you. They are well trained and skilled and full of resources to get you over to a dietitian, because you need to make sure that you do that at least once or twice a year, maybe if quarterly, if you're looking at that kind of weight and obesity and you really need a lot of work. They'll decide what's best for you. For me, I have my provider who tells me, we got to get the weight off, and that is likely in your situation to reverse type 2 diabetes. So let's put that focus there. We have a dietitian on the team, and the dietitian has had me work since April. I've been in a calorie deficit. As I'm on this journey on my own, you're going to find out things like, okay, it's, here's something even better. And I'm in a calorie deficit and learning how to increase the protein, and worked hard to just get the protein up to 60 grams a day. And now I'm over 100 grams a day. And my goal is to work up to 200 grams a day of protein. And I like to keep fiber at a 15 to 33 grams a day. So keeping that as a constant focus. So I look at my macros every day. Some people say, well, I forgot. No, you need to use apps like the Carb Manager app. Perfect app to make sure that you are focusing on a daily on your macros. Because if you focus on those macros, you're going to learn what you're doing bad and what you shouldn't do. So, your professionals will tell you what's the best calorie deficit for you. Do your research, do what's best for you to find out. I have my calorie deficit that I know that I need. I work a little bit extreme beyond the calorie deficit that they suggest, and I take off an additional 500 calories, and I stay there. And that's how I've been able to see weekly success, weekly weight loss coming off. I also, with my provider to treat the diabetes, I'm on Mounjaro. And Mounjaro is exceptionally great at controlling hormones, balancing the hormones in the body, as well as talking to that area of the brain that likes to keep up a lot of food noise. And because of that, I've been able to detox a lot of bad habit stuff out of my body, and the cravings for that stuff goes away when that happens. So I've been at this journey since April, and here we are in September, successful weight loss. It works. I'm having weekly weight loss every week since I got on this journey. So I want you to just at least know that much so that you can say, okay, let me try this thing that she's talking about. Walk and Carb it off works. In addition to this, there's carbs, but I felt like, she's got a lot of carbs allowed. And we do need our carbs. You do, because you have to have carbs. Not all of them are bad. And you also have to have like this every 4 hours eating only in 3 meals. And then I have a calorie deficit that I have to do per meal. I have macros that I have to control within those meals. I have to have a certain amount, preferably 30 to 40 grams of protein per meal. I have to have a certain amount of fiber per meal. I need to have a certain amount of, the calories have to be, a maximum of calories per meal. In doing so, all of this gets you to the end of the day. And then you intermittent fast, you sleep, you intermittent fast. And then it gives a chance for the cells to go in and do what they do to break down that fat, and then just get it out your body. And each day, 7 days, you get to the 7th day and weight has come off. Because every day you'll see weight loss, but it'll just be a small amount. And then you'll get to the 7th day. You'll know that it's working when 3 or 4 weeks later, that weight hasn't come back, right? And don't fall for that's muscle weight. When you're getting on that scale and you're seeing weight gain, go in your diet, go in your Carb Manager app, look at your macros, and find out, how am I eating? Why is it? Because the scale, it's the pounds that are going to come on if you refuse to eat in a calorie deficit. If you eat the amount of calories for your body that your body needs to maintain weight or more, you're going to gain weight. You're either going to maintain the fat that you have or you're going to add more additional fat. So eating the opposite of that in a calorie deficit will do extremely well with making sure that some type of weight comes off every day. And it'll even be successful at adding up to weight loss at the end of the week. Here's what I learned, and that's what I came on here to tell you. Work with your dietitian and your doctor. Don't do anything that you shouldn't do that is not good for your body medically. Eat how you're supposed to eat based on the medicines and foods that you need for your own condition. Obesity is an autoimmune disease, in my opinion. So if you're obese and trying to take fat off, make sure you're working with the professionals to do so. Here's what I did. I started doing a carb deficit. 2 weeks I've been on a carb deficit. In addition to the carbs that she's already has me on a carb deficit, I made it even more extreme and decided to do even less than that. I'm doing half of the carb deficit that the dietitian set for me. That lowering your carbs down to the bare minimum possible to make sure you're still getting good nutrients for your body, yet not a lot of carbs in when you're eating right and you learn how to eat all the foods that are good for you, it's not going to be a lot of carbs anyway. You're going to be in a carb deficit anyway. But sometimes, people try brown rice, white rice, different things, and the grains still cause inflammation. If you're not watching some of the other foods, pastas or something like that may have some hidden sugars, so there's places where you can find inflammation happening. But when you really learn how to get it right, like broccoli is a constant, you're getting in some kale and some collard greens, and like you're really getting in like a lot of great nutrients for you, trying to increase the fruit more, making sure that you increase the vegetables more and high-packed protein, whether you're doing plant-based, I like doing chickpeas as a high protein. So, there's a lot of, pinto beans, there's a lot of plant-based options that you could do to get your protein up. And you don't have to sit and drink a shake all the time, because sometimes people think, oh, I'll just drink a shake, just have a whole bunch of shakes. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You can actually have a meal and get this high-packed protein. I'm telling you, I make this bad pinto beans mixed with ground turkey and all the veggies, and it is a bad bowl, and I eat it without rice, and it's packed with protein, and it almost is so filling that I could do 1 to 2 meals a day when I do that meal, right? So a carb deficit, it really works, but here's what makes it even more powerful to make the back start shrinking and the side fat to start shrinking and the fat on your belly to start coming and shrinking. Walking 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes or more. But really, if you want to do it every day, I would say minimize it to 30 minutes a day. 2 or 3 times a week, you may want to keep on going and really get a really good 10,000 to 15,000 steps in. You want to do that, 2 or 3 times a week. It's really even better for you. But definitely getting in those 30 minutes of movement and making sure that you're doing 7 to 10,000, let's say this, 8 to 10,000 steps a day. For 2 weeks, I've done that in a carb deficit, and baby, that takes some weight off. That I did my inches this morning, and I was like, yes, because I put in the group all the time the average inches for a woman, in this age group, that age group, right? And when I put those inches in, I'm like, wow. That's when you really know. When you go and you, because I do notes and I record body inches and, weight loss and what happens on injection a day and the weight that I take off throughout the week. And, I'll go in and make sure that I'm getting on the scale, keeping a good look. You don't want to stay off of the scale too much. I used to say stay off of the scale and do it once a week. But when you're on this journey and you're on this carb deficit, calorie deficit, walking 30 minutes a day, and watching carefully your macros, you definitely want to get on every other day or so and write that down, and then also do your inches. You want to do that because it's going to it helps you know with the meal the day before. Ooh, when I eat that, it makes the scale creep up. When I do like this, it keeps going down. Like for the last 2 weeks, the scale just kept going down. And even when I had some days that I had to get in some really extreme fiber, because eventually when you get to week 5 and 6 on tirzepatide, on Mounjaro, week 5 or 6, you're going to see if you're not staying strong and staying away from breads and pastas and rice, you may see constipation. And I did that. And I had to turn myself back around, figure out what it was. And it was white rice. And I'm making sure when I have a serving of that it's no more than half a cup or a cup of rice. And it still was too much. So I eliminated it and did this carb deficit and walking 30 minutes a day and drinking. I only drink water. I tell people that all the time. Once or twice a month, I may, if I'm out and about, I may have something. But most people are like, aren't you going to drink tea or soda? If we link up and we meet out, and it's like, nah, no, I may have a hot cup of tea, a cup of hot tea, but I'm going to drink water, and ice water, and room temperature water. That's my thing. I stay away from juices because of the sugar, and I just really on this journey, soda doesn't work for me. And I left this habit of drinking soda probably 10 years ago. So I don't have a craving for it. I think it's been over 20 years since having what they call Kool-Aid, because we used to have that when we were younger. And I left that 20 years ago, left that alone. I found that my weight gain came from not controlling how much sugar was in the food that I take in, not donuts and cookies and ice cream or things like that they like to say in the doctor's office, or people will post online, y'all need to stop eating cookies. Not that person. My sugars were coming and sneaking in different foods like pasta, different foods that I was taking in. So that's why learning how to eat in a carb deficit, learning how to eat in a calorie deficit, learning how to control the protein grams and fiber grams that I take in, knowing my net carbs, knowing how much fat. I also eat in a fat deficit each day. So people talk a lot about a calorie deficit, but they don't really go deep into those macros deficit that you need to be in. And you need to be in high protein, and you need to be in a low fat deficit. You need to be in low calorie deficit. You need to be in a low carb deficit. You need to be in 15 to 33 grams of fiber. All those things are important. But if you want to take some fat off the back, big back, I promise you got to walk. I promise you have to walk. It's just this powerful thing. I'm not the only one saying it. They've proven that it's not just low calories is it. Exercise and movement is key, and strength train every day. Because if you are on the Mounjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound, if you are on the this semaglutide or tirzepatide journey, and you're doing a high protein, you better be walking, but you also better be strength training. And I don't know if I'd said that in this podcast episode or not, but I also strength train every day. Daily, really epic strength training moves that I've learned to do, and I do them every day. The glutes stay on fire. I like to keep them on fire. If they're not on fire, I know I'm not doing enough of them, or I've graduated to those particular sets and I have to increase them even more. I keep my glutes on fire. I keep my arms on fire. I keep my legs on fire. And that strength training is important to do to make sure that sagging of fat doesn't happen in the, kind of more rapid weight loss that happens when you're eating in a low calorie, low carb deficit and high protein intake, fiber at 15 to 33 grams, fall in the wrong places. So strength training every day, walking 30 minutes a day, walking Carb it off, boo. I promise you, you can. You just got to give it a try. Make sure you write these things down. If you know someone that's on this journey and they need this information, share this podcast with them. Share this journey with them, because I know that they could get something out of it. And invite them, if it's not you, invite them over to Exercise, Eat Right, and Focus. It's a Facebook group, and they will get something out of it as well. I am your host, Dee Shields. I thank you so much for stopping by the Big Back Podcast, and I'm going to bring you something new the next time around.